Welcome back. It's a Tuesday. It's a modcast day with three of your favorite mods who are already here. Cody's here. Alex is here. I am here. Jason's on vacation, but he'll be back soon enough. Cody and Alex. And Alex, I have to give you credit, Alex. You kind of sparked the thought process behind today's show because you started kind of diving into the depth charts, Alex. And this is kind of that time of year, right? Where we got to start talking offensive depth charts, defensive depth charts, and really diving into that aspect. So, Alex, I'm going to start with you. Cody, you'll come in at some point whenever you're ready. But, Alex, as we start, let's start from the offensive side of the ball. Um, is it for you the biggest battle is simplistically as the left guard position on the offensive side of the ball, and it's not even close?
For a starting job?
Yes.
I think so. I mean, I think that there's stuff you can talk about with the tight end position. I'm not sure that we have complete clarity there. I've always said that it's going to be Michael Masunis because of what we heard he got with NIL, the level of athlete that he has, the level of interest that he's already getting from the NFL types, including agents and stuff like that. I think that eventually that guy's going to be the kind of the number one option, but maybe to start fall camp, it somewhat feels like a little bit of a battle there with him and Nick Townsend, Spencer Shannon. I just think with those guys though, it's just with the tight ends, it's like it's a little bit more of a murky situation because if you just look at how those guys operate, it's like Masunis is a guy that if you watch him at Michigan State, he can play H back, he can play in line attached to the line of scrimmage. If you look at what Texas has done there with those guys, though, Nick Townsend and Spencer Shannon are like complete opposites of one another. Whereas Nick Townsend only played inline at like 16% of snaps last year, played like 84% of his snaps at H-back, whereas that was totally flipped for Spencer Shannon. He's like completely an inline tight end. So it's like it's almost like they play different positions. So how much of a position battle is that really? I think if we're just talking about one clean one, I think if we're talking about starters, I think that it has to be left guard. I think especially now with Cole Hudson sort of coming into play. I'm not projecting Cole Hudson to come in and push to start, but I do think it's interesting. You had reported that Andre Kojo is now working out there at that left guard. He was mentioned by Trevor Goosby as a dude that was lining up to his right during practices and stuff like that. Feels like there could be some competition there until we just see, like I need to see Seymour I'm not sure about you guys, man. His height and weight seem a little bit small to me. I want to see him on a college football field and see if I think it's a guy who we can get consistent production out of the same way that we saw for Western Kentucky versus teams like LSU last season.
What about you, Cody? Does it start and finish for you as simplistically as that left guard position as well?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's probably the one that I have the most concern or question about. But I mean, after talking to Trevor Goosby last week, and he brought up Lawrence Seymour and meeting him for the first time when they were working out, and how explosive Seymour is, and he was impressed with him in early one-on-one work. Like that gives me some belief. I also still have that LSU game in the back of my head, and I'll forever bring that thing up until I'm proven otherwise, and have other reason to believe that he doesn't know how to do it, doesn't know how to play the left guard position at the SEC level. He did it once, right? And I think being in a situation where you're sitting next to Trevor Goosby and you have that leadership at the center position in Connor Robertson, there's got to be some trust and some belief in what you are. I brought this up on the show yesterday with Alex, where I think the Cole Hudson thing in this conversation only would light a little bit bigger of a fire under me if I'm Lawrence Seymour. Not that he doesn't already have one coming from Western Kentucky. He's got 1 year to prove that potential he can play at the next level. But the Cole Hudson thing is almost like Cole Hudson. If I'm Seymour, my brain is like, does this guy think he's just going to come in and take this job from me? Like, they brought me here to take this thing, to win this thing, and to improve this spot. And that would only allow me to light a bigger fire under me. So, yes, there's question there. I don't think, Andre Kojo is going to take that step forward, or Chapman's going to take that step forward and really push Seymour. So it really just comes down to Seymour and potentially Cole Hudson.
Alex, go do me a favor, Alex. I want you to go back into your archives. I'm kind of curious from you. What did they get out of that left guard position last year when you start looking at looking at the numbers? And I'm just kind of curious from you, ideally, what would you like to see number wise as far as disruptions, all those kind of things that you kind of keep an eye on? I'm curious what would be a barometer of success for you on from that position as well.
Well, not to have two of the players that played the position last season be in the bottom five of the 90 offensive linemen that I've charted since 2013 at Texas, be in the bottom five of snaps per disruption allowed or penalty caused. I mean, Nick Brooks is in dead last place. He allowed disruption or created a penalty once every 8 snaps last season. It's like it's number 90 out of 90 out of every single offensive lineman dating back to 2013 who played at least 100 snaps in a season, which really like is not even that many snaps. It's like that's a big list of guys, right? 90 players. He was dead last as far as all that. Cole Hudson last season, he was sitting at once every 13.5 snaps. That was 5th to last out of 90, right? That's two that like that's not good at all. I mean, even I hate to even say it because Connor Stroh had some of those situations where with him, at least he was hovering around 20, which is not great. You definitely don't want to be south of 20, but with him, he was just so unbalanced, and the plays that he did mess up, he would get so overextended and spent so much time on the ground, and it was just brutal to watch. Big whiffs and big misses coming up all the time. I would say, to get to like just you want that thing to be top. I mean, it would be great to be top 40 all time, something like that. Maybe like getting to where you're hovering around 30, 30 snaps per disruption allowed and or penalty caused. I think if you were to get that, you're looking at guys like Junior Angelau as a sophomore, Hayden Connor as a freshman, Kent Perkins as a sophomore, Kent Perkins as a senior, Tope Amadi is a super senior, right? Like that level of we're not talking about all-star super level play, right? None of those guys you look back and say like, oh my gosh, but Junior Angelau's sophomore season, who could forget it? You know what I mean? Like you don't look back and say that the same way when you look at the top of the list and you look at Connor Williams' sophomore season or Kelvin Banks' in any of Kelvin Banks' seasons. Trey Hopkins as a senior, Samuel Cosme as a junior before he left, right? All those guys sitting around 57, 56, 55. I think if you can get around 30, like that's like that would literally be what was the average of? So the average of Hudson and Brooks, who we got most of the time out of last year, would have been what's the average of 8 and 13? Like what, 10, 11? You'd be getting 3 times less disruption. Like, and that's only to get to like where the median would be.
So Cody, for you, I'm kind of curious, the news of Cole Hudson when it broke last week, was that encouraging for you or was that discouraging for you, knowing that the UT is willing to bring this guy back only a few weeks before the start of the regular season?
Well, it has to be encouraging. It has to be encouraging because I think we all came out of the transfer portal, even though they got Seymour and Siani and Sikorsky and that Paris Patterson as well. But I think you have to be at least a little encouraged because it's like the extra body. Me and Alex have, joked about for the last 6 months of like why don't they go get, our guy from Riverside Community College out in California? Like, why don't they go get a couple of these JUCO interior offensive linemen that they could just, get in here and they're still made out of clay and you can still form them into, a bowl or a statue or a piece of art. Like you can still mold them into something. And Cole Hudson to me was like, I had multiple thoughts. One being, okay, this is good. This is the ultimate swing interior alignment. 2, when Steve Sarkisian said it and he's standing on the podium and he's like, this is something that Cole and his family wanted to do. I was like, so you don't care? It doesn't do anything for you? You just don't it's not something Texas cared about. It's just something that Cole wanted to do, which is like super just a weird way of saying that. And then 3, it's like if you remember back to like, when Brett Favre would like sit out all of training camp and then show up, the week before the season starts, and he's like, all right, let's go, let's play. And he just is going to start for the Jets. It's like Cole Hudson is just, he was at some training camps earlier some OTAs earlier this spring, but I think Alex has brought up, like, he hasn't probably been doing intense training like Texas has been doing for the last 8 weeks. So is he just going to roll up tomorrow, or I should say on Monday or Tuesday, and just stretch out and say, all right, see if I can win this job back? Like, what's that going to look like too? I think there's so many questions regarding just him and how he fits into this whole thing.
What about any questions for you about Siani on that right tackle position, now knowing, hey, he's got a 9-game SEC schedule plus Ohio State as well?
No, I'm not worried about it. I think Siani's solid. I mean, him and Gooseby last year combined for over 1,700 snaps, and they've allowed 3 sacks total. And the 3 that PFF credited between those two guys all were to Gooseby. I think they had 6 QB hits. They each allowed three QB hits each last year, according to PFF. 1,700 snaps. And I know ACC isn't the SEC, but Louisville's got good pass rushers year in and year out. Virginia Tech's got a couple of good defensive linemen. Miami's got good edge rushers. Like, there's still good talents in the ACC that he's going against week in and week out. Now, is there some that are scrubby? Of course, but it's just going to be another level. Like, and he's prepared to take that step forward. We've heard things behind the scenes and goals that Siani has set for himself. Like, he's prepared and he knows what needs to be done. So I have full faith in Melvin Siani at right tackle. I think he could be. I would say if you look at the last 5 years, I love Alex's opinion on this too. If you look at the last 5 years, Christian Jones, Cam Williams, Brandon Baker, I think Siani's got the opportunity to be the best right tackle that they've seen in the last 5 years.
Alex, you agree?
I mean, I don't know. That's probably a little bit farther than I would have gone to say he's could be. I mean, Cam Williams,
not the ability to be. I'm not saying he's going to be.
Yeah. I think he has the ability to be. Dude, I mean, here's the thing. You talk to scouts about Siani, and I talked to a scout who, where is Wake Forest?
It's in North Carolina.
But yeah,
okay. So North Carolina was one of his. It was one of his schools, right? Or that was one of his territories, And he had just said, "It might be." I never asked him that. I never asked him the question. He said that he loved Siani, right? And I forget who else they had. There was another tackle who they had who he also loved. I'm trying to remember that whole conversation, but he said that he thought Siani was a huge get. I'd like to get back to him and ask that specific question. How do you think he'll hold up versus an SEC schedule? But clearly, when I did my work on him. Love the film. I love his feet. Love his power base. I think that I think he's a really good player. I think that Texas has had. I mean, Christian Jones got really good, and for a long time, I thought to myself, man, that's just such a credit to Kyle Flood, and that it would kind of radicalize me to Kyle Flood, and maybe be sort of the last one to really push back against any of this angst that the fan base had about him. I thought Cam Williams was another great development story. He left too early. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, he was really good. And then Baker last year, I think he's probably a better fit at right guard. But he was a really good. Like the tackles were not the issue for Texas last season. Yeah. So I'm sure. I think there's always a chance. I would say though that I guess the fact that I'm saying there's a chance, I don't think it's the most likely outcome. But I think if I'm saying that's a chance, that means that inherently I really believe that he's going to be a good player for Texas.
Cody, back to you for a second. Staying on the offensive side of the ball, we've all have been hearing the Jermaine Bishop hype since the spring. I think Sark was trying to pump the brakes on that a little bit, but it seems to be a task too big for him because I don't know if that hype will stop. Are you at any point as you go into training camp, are you looking at a Jermaine Bishop Dalen McCutcheon kind of battle for that number 2 spot? Do you think Jermaine Bishops can slip in that 1 spot in the slot? I'm just kind of curious where you kind of go into the Jermaine Bishop hype train.
Well, there's no question Jermaine Bishop has the talent to get on the football field in year one and make an impact situationally. Do I think that Jermaine Bishop's going to be in there for 20 snaps a game or something on offense? No, I don't. I mean, Alex has brought up the Will Muschamp conversations about, I think it was in last week's War Room maybe, about Jermaine Bishop being like teach tape for Will Muschamp on the defensive side of the football. Like, I think there's going to be this push and pull, whether we like it or not, or the team likes it or not, of playing offense and defense week in and week out, and maybe situationally where he fits in best. Maybe he gets some punt return opportunities, I would assume, if Ryan Niblett's maybe a little bit tired. But as far as like that next wide receiver goes, like, yeah, McCutcheon should have opportunities to play in the slot. But after Coleman and Wingo and Mosley, to me, there's going to be it's going to be Sterling Burkhalter before there's a little bit of a break, before there's a little bit of a drop off at the wide receiver position. And I know Alex and I are on differing thoughts as far as the Burkhalter thing. I just look at him as a guy that came over from Wake Forest, and you got Coach Sarkisian who comes out within weeks of him being on campus and says, no portal addition has picked up the playbook faster than Sterling Burkhalter. He's one of the 4 guys that goes to New Orleans and plays catch and runs routes and stuff with Arch Manning and Coleman. I go back to last year, 33% of his catches were for 15-plus yards. For comparison, Cam Coleman last year, 26% of his catches were for 15 or more yards. He was targeted more, had more receptions, but it's 10 versus 15 as far as the whole number. For Parker Livingston last year, 41% of his catches were for 15 or more yards. That was 12 catches. So I don't think he's a zero. I don't think that Jermaine Bishop's going to be able to walk in here in a couple of weeks in camp and just take over what Burkhalter has as a veteran presence in this wide receiver room. Like, he's not coming from Western Kentucky, right? He's coming from Wake Forest. And yes, they're one of the worst Power 4 schools in the country, but I mean, this is a guy that can still catch the football. I think he'll still make some big catches. He's not going to be a world beater and have 60 yards a game or something, but I do think he's got the stranglehold on the number 4 spot right now.
That's so stupid. It's the worst. It's the worst take you have.
You are. That is how and how. What
absurd to say he has a stranglehold?
He's got a stranglehold on the wide receiver 4 spot right now.
That's your worst take ever. Like, and I've heard some bad takes. Like,
you have no analysis to come back and fight that with.
I do have analysis. This is a role player coming in from Wake Forest who only got all that run in the spring because everybody else was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
what Coach Sarkisian said?
Coach Sarkisian says I can't go to New Orleans with you. I got a busted foot. I got to rehab. Have you forgotten how good Khalil Lockett is?
Have you forgotten about opportunity, health as well?
Watch Sterling Burkhalter. It's like I mean, what are you going to do?
That's not me. I'm not telling you Sterling Burkhalter is better than Khalil Lockett,
and not expect that this guy could end up wanting to is he a guy that you just want to transfer out of the program if you're the coaches?
That's not my job. My job is not to say, hey man, you better get better, or you're going to leave. Like, no, that's up to the player. The player's either going to learn and get better or he's not. I'm not saying that Burkhalter is better than Khalil Lockett. That's not what I'm saying.
No, what you did say is that he has a stranglehold on the wide receiver 4 job.
Because he does. Steve Sarkisian said, no portal addition, pick up the playbook faster. He said that within weeks.
Is Khalil Lockett a portal addition?
He's a 6-year player from Wake Forest.
Is Khalil Lockett a portal addition?
Argument against Cam Coleman and Parker Livingston as a dynamic player in the wide receiver room. He did the extra things in the offseason. Oh, well, Emma Mosley couldn't go because his foot was jacked up. Well, guess what? The best ability is availability. And Sterling Burkhalter was available to go catch passes from Arch Manning.
Dude, Sterling Burkhalter got that extra run because everybody else was hurt. I hope he picked up the playbook fast. He's like a 5th, 6th-year senior, whatever. Maybe he's now up to the level that Khalil Lockett's been, having been in the system for a year longer.
This isn't about talent. This isn't about
for you. The Burkholder thing doesn't hold much water for you.
No.
Just because it was by numbers, he was going to have some sort of positive thing back in the spring, just off of sheer numbers.
Your 2 starting receivers and Lockett were missing time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, like it's going to be Dalen McCutcheon, and it's going to what are you going to do? You're going to put in Chris Stewart or Cohen Brown or something like that with the starters? What a big accomplishment by Sterling Burkhalter from Wake Forest.
Your best ability is availability, number one. And number two, nobody's saying Burkhalter's more talented than Bishop and Lockett.
Okay, so
or Dalen McCutcheon, who can play both inside and outside.
Sure.
So staying on the backup conversation on offense, since we're having one, let's go to one that let's go to one that might be a little bit more interesting and potentially more relevant. KJ Lacey or Dia Bell, Cody. As you look at that competition, that's an interesting one, right? Because, it's probably one where KJ Lacey needs to be the number 2 guy going into the season. You probably don't want to send that message to him with Dia Bell number 2. But Dia Bell did have a strong spring as well, though, Cody, right?
Yeah, I fully believe like what Sarkisian said last week in comparisons to Bryce Young as far as growth and maturity and arm talent and whatnot. Like, I think he's saying the right things. If an opportunity comes up, I think on yesterday's show, you and Ketch did, I commented, I think KJ Lacey's one of the 10 guys that has some of the most pressure going into the season, because what if, you've said it before, how often does a Texas quarterback make it through the whole season? So think about the pressure that is bestowed upon KJ Lacey if an opportunity is needed for him to come in and do something even remotely like what Matthew Caldwell had to do last year. And it seems like he's the guy. But as far as next spring goes, like I think that this quarterback thing next year is going to go maybe until this time next year with Dia Bell and KJ Lacey.
I don't want to get into that.
Not even I would take that bet. Cody's a world champion power lifter.
Alex, you've had the infamous Casey Thompson take from many years ago, in that infamous bet. Are you willing to do this?
Cody and I Sterling Burkhalter bet?
I don't know.
He has the wide receiver version of this. So you know how you can skip the line at Franklin's if you buy 5 pounds of barbecue?
No, what's the deal?
Okay, it's you don't have to stand in line at Franklin if you call ahead and you order 5 pounds of meat, and you can like get different kinds of meat. So if Sterling Burkhalter is not the wide receiver for Texas, Cody's got to go buy it. If he is, I got to go buy it. So Cody's taking Sterling Burkhalter. I'm just taking for me. I think it'll be.
Okay, but are we talking about to start the season?
No, just the finishing with his production.
So at any point in the season,
to be fair, we never did clarify the statistical outcome of if it was week 1 or if it was the result. We did never converse about that.
Oh, well, I mean, clearly it's the result, right?
So you're saying why
I would argue with you
by the end of the year is what you're saying?
I mean, I could argue with you that I could say
no. Let's just have it be by snap percentage.
All right, bet.
Okay.
What's the percentage? So you guys are official here. What's the percentage?
No, it's just if he's got to be at least number 4 as far as snap percentage.
Okay, and then you guys have your barbecue on the line. All right, so there you go. Sterling Burkhalter. No pressure on Sterling. There's only Franklin barbecue involved, and 5 pounds of it at that. All right, so Alex, same vein. Dia Bell, KJ Lacey. I'm kind of curious from a battle standpoint, what's your thought about that particular backup battle?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. What's going to be put on display to us publicly is KJ Lacey ahead of Dia Bell, and that's what Sark is. That's what Sark is laid out. It's what he said. He's talked about how Dia Bell is only 2 snaps away from being the starter of this football team. That obviously means 1 snap for Arch, 1 snap for KJ. He said KJ's ahead. He's already cleared that narrative with Dia. Why would he worry about changing it up at all? Dia seems like he's cool with it. I think that they are. It's like. That's a narrative that you have to craft and manage, right? Like that's your quarterback pipeline. It's like a pipeline of gold, right? Like a lot of times it's a lot trickier to craft that narrative and to be able to balance all the, juggle all of the different plates and stuff like that. And Sark already has that narrative on lockdown. So why change it publicly? Because D is okay with it. Now, if there's something going on where it's, where D is like really pushing him behind the scenes or something like that, I think that the public facing narrative will be the same. With that being said, I do think that if anything were to happen, KJ is going to be the first one up. I think KJ is really talented. Who was it at SEC Media Days that played? Was that Ryan Coleman Williams that played with KJ Lacey in high school?
That's
Ryan Williams from Alabama.
Yeah. He just said that he said that guy can make every throw in the book without even planting his feet. That guy thinks really, really highly of KJ Lacey. And I guess I would too if it was my high school boy, my quarterback. But he's obviously a really talented guy. We know that Diabell is the $1 million guy that already has all his own sponsors and stuff like that. But KJ Lacey's a player.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, so Barbs10 said, and this kind of goes into what, because I was going to kind of sneak in on the defense anyway. Onwards to Obi Michael Jackson eating popcorn meme. Absolutely. When Alex and Cody are going at it, I just stand back, let them do their thing, and slightly instigate if possible in real time. Alex from the top rope. But hey, who is the sleeper backup linebacker, Alex? Because this actually goes into the linebacker conversation I wanted to have. Because it's weird. Like in Cody, I think you tweeted out something about Rasheem Biles the other day. It's not a lot of depth here at this position. So the sleeper would have to actually be somebody who's a little bit awake. I'm kind of curious, once you get past the starting guys, what is that backup thing, and any interesting battles in there, Alex?
I think the interesting battle is for the starter at the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But the
you talk about between Ty Anthony and Justin Cryer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like I asked Colin Simmons, who now that Anthony Hill's gone, who's the quarterback of the defense, and he goes, Cryer. Cryer. Mm-hmm. I said, so you like Cryer? Like, do you think that's he's like Biles and Cryer? He's like I really love that duo. I just thought it was a wild, it's like no mention of really Ty Anthony Smith. So I don't know what to really expect there. Part of me had just said, like, look, I'm done with this whole charade about Justin Cryer. He was only wearing the helmet to, the player to coach to player communication helmet during the spring because Ty Anthony was hurt, right? There's never going to be a situation where I don't think Ty Anthony and Rasheem Biles are going to be out there to start the fall. Now I'm like that. I had changed the depth chart to reflect that. Now I'm like I can't say with confidence that it won't be Cryer and Biles. Ty Anthony Smith's a little bit small to be playing a Mike linebacker, right? It's like him and Biles have a little bit of a redundant skill set. It's hard for me to imagine getting Biles off the field. So the good news for all these linebackers is that Muschamp is so multiple and he moves guys around so much. And we've seen different kind of who am I thinking of the small guy, Cody? Is it Nakobe Dean I'm thinking about from Georgia? Yep. Yeah, like that guy played a lot of Mike, a lot of downhill stuff. He reminds you somewhat of Ty Anthony Smith. But so I kind of consider those guys. I consider the starters basically to be, Cryer / Ty Anthony, Rasheem Biles, and then at the outside linebacker spot, it's like Brad Spence will be like a pseudo starter, right? That'll be in there for sub package stuff. So if we're talking about those guys being the kind of, if we're talking about those, like, could we say a sleeper is Tyler Atkinson?
That's wild, isn't it?
Well, I know he's your 5-star crown jewel of the class and stuff like that, but people have just written him off for this year to be a second team player. I kind of have. I
think it's kind of the right answer. It's interesting when you bring up the size too. Biles 6'1", 222, Ty Anthony 6'1", 214. Tyler Atkinson cut him right in half, 6'1", 219. They're all three the same, pretty much the same. Ty Anthony's a little bit leaner, I would say, through the midsection, but they're all similar size. It's really that's wild. I hadn't even thought about that. Atkinson's the clear sleeper. I think that's the right answer. Because everybody else you're talking about Biles, you're talking about Cryer. Ty Anthony has expectation. I mean, you can bring up, the fun thing would be to bring up these freshmen and stuff, and Boswell, like, what's your expectation for Boswell? It's not really high. Like, I don't think Darius Snow is, going to play he's going to be a special team based guy. Like, the sleepers, Tyler Atkinson, to, like, in week 3 of the preseason, make this a big old problem.
For you, does Brad Spence just check every box for you, Cody?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brad Spence looked different this spring. I thought he gained some good weight this spring. I had the updated numbers. I think he was one of the guys that gained, I want to say, like 8 or 9 pounds. I think my camera's glitching out here, but Spence got up to, I just had it. Where did it go? 249 pounds. Like, he's in this defense, he could be a real, again, I don't consider him your classic linebacker for this specific question, but like in this Will Muschamp defense, I think Brad Spence has a potential to be a 10 plus TFL type of a guy. Maybe that comes out of nowhere and that could be considered for, a linebacker that does something that's not expected, but I like Brad Spence.
On the line, Alex, when we go in the defensive line, we got, Hero Canoe, which I'll be curious to see what you have for him from a draft projection, if you think he's a day 2 or day 3 kind of guy. But you've got him, you got Alex January. We already know Colin Simmons is set and so forth. But I'm kind of curious, Alex, once we get past Colin Simmons, once we get past Hero Canoe, your thought on the other guys on that line, the Alex January's of the world, your Lance Jacksons, your Wesleys, your Murad Watsons, your Justin Terry, Justice Terry. Just kind of curious, once we get past the 2 bona fide guys, everybody else who's coming up.
Well, I think Justice Terry is clearly the most interesting one to talk about or to contemplate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I keep on bringing it up, but like it means a lot to me when you hear a stud like Colin Simmons talking about this, and it's like, God, the way that he talked about Justice Terry, it's like he was talking about an alien from another world and stuff. He just says, like, you guys are getting ready to see he's back, he's strong, he's healthy, and look, he's going to have to be. We talked about it before. It might have been on the modcast when we were talking about, he's probably going to have to play 30% of snaps, right? Well, I mean, you just look at he's what's he getting paid? He's going to have to. I mean, he's obviously not going to play nose, but he's definitely Hero Canoe's direct backup at 3 technique. That makes him at worst the number 4 option, maybe the 5th defensive tackle. If he's the number 3 defensive tackle, like with this coaching staff, with Baker, the number 4 defensive tackle is like a 33% snap guy. Especially if we know that Ian Jaffard is going to be playing that kind of Bill Norton, Cole Brevard type, that big just rock in the middle kind of role, right? And that's always been an 18 to 20% role, very, very, very game specific. So look, I think Justice Terry, he's one of the highest recruits in recent years here at Texas. He's going to be playing a whole lot of snaps. He wasn't healthy all spring. Like, to me, that's good. You talk to me about the guys behind, your front line, Hero Canoe, Alex January, Murad Watson. I'm just like, well, I'll just talk about the next man up. And like, I think it's Justice Terry. And I think he can be a big impact player for this team. And so by far the most interesting, name for me to bring up there as far as, guys behind them.
Cody, the secondary for you, I'm kind of curious. Someone mentioned Meredith being added in as a kind of a late addition, but those DBs, Cody, that are intertwined, and obviously the safety position, and it's interesting for me. The thing I mentioned with talking to Catch yesterday is it's interesting, Cody, because these are guys that if you're Muschamp, you could say, I didn't recruit you. So therefore, everybody has a clean slate and everybody has something to prove. Whatever they did last year doesn't necessarily equate to this year. I'm curious from the DB perspective, cornerbacks and safeties, nickelback, what's your thoughts on those guys in that battle?
Well, first, I just want to say I do agree with you as far as the fourth defensive lineman, Alex. I do agree with you, so I'm not going to make a bet with you like we do with Sterling. But
there's a heavy amount of wagering on Sterling Buckholder being the damn fourth string guy or fourth in productivity. We're talking about that kind of food for this. I mean, that's amazing. Go ahead, guys. I'm sorry.
Justice Terry has much more pressure on him than is on Alex's back when he loses this bet. As far as the DBs go, though, this is going to be like, I know I'm innately going to go and like want to watch D line, O line when I get to practice next week, hopefully. But I need to look at these DBs. I need to see where certain guys are working, what they're working with, who they're working on, and because Steve Sarkisian brought it up last week and saying like everyone should be healthy, everyone should be good to go, and so to me that says like the door is cracked open for Jonah Williams, and it's time to kick the thing down. Like that's the number one thing I want to see is Jonah, I guess. And if the movements are true, if Phil Simms going to be playing star, Kobe Blythe is going to be playing safety, what is John Meredith on campus on Wednesday, Thursday next week? Do we get to see him? A lot of questions for a couple of positions that I feel pretty good about going into the season. I feel like I might be on a little bit of an island as far as my expectations for John Meredith. Like I think that there's a real chance that he can play some real minutes. The majority of Orange Bloods disagrees with that, but and I know like there's people out there that are saying like, yeah, he's not even going to be the fifth best cornerback on this roster. And it's like, well, I know it's a good roster, but this is a
Have you watched him? Like, come on,
elite level cornerback, dog. Okay. And he hasn't been just sitting on the couch all summer. He's been going to all these 7-on-7 games and camps week in and week out. He's been going and competing week in and week out. So I just have a lot of questions, man. I think the depth chart is pretty straightforward, with Littleton, Masco, Phillips, Johnny McDonald. There's question at the other safety position. But again, if Jonah's healthy, I think Jonah might take that thing away from Derek Williams on day one.
All right, one more thing before we get out of here. Cody, I'll go with you. It's hilarious because the Big 12 signed a deal where each member school was going to get about $1 million per monster. Then Ohio State was just like, oh, that's cute. So what we're going to do is we're going to get about 17 mil per season for us just individually. I'm kind of curious your thought process on Chase slapping a logo on Ohio State, a blue blood program. And how long do you think it will be before Texas gets there? Chris Delcani has said, nah, we're not going to do that logo thing, but 17 million today might be 20 million a year tomorrow. And I'm just curious how long he can hold that one off.
Well, I think it's funny you just brought it up that way because literally, 30 minutes ago. So like, we've been on, 17 million turned into 20 million. Notre Dame supposedly sitting around 20 million. They got to deal with SoFi to put a sticker on there. So it's going fast for these top, and these are top.
All these financial institutions. Weird.
If you're going to put the programs in a pile and say like set the market, who is it? It's Ohio State, it's Notre Dame, it's Texas, Michigan. It's not a lot. So this is prime Texas territory of showing you like you can go get 20 million right now. Who's it going to be from? Is it going to be Dell, SpaceX? I don't know if HEB's got that kind of bread, but it's super interesting. I'll be, do you guys think CDC is the type that would just like sit here for a year and just watch this happen and then come back a year from now and then bend the knee? Or is he the type that would pivot right into this thing? Because that's a big chunk of cash that can instantly, take it from asking questions and asking for donors and whatnot. Per year, the Big 12 doing Big 12 things, I guess.
Alex, what do you think?
They got to get a patch. It's like get the money. Like $17 million. I'm sure the football could use it for NIL and stuff like that. That's what these other schools are going to do. It's an arms race, man. Put a stupid patch on. It's fine.
There's certain things that we don't necessarily need to be hold to. All right, here's one last thing I want to ask you about, Alex. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go, Alex. I want to know your thoughts on this spot.
Chips are built through shared experiences.
Aggies are
A
built
conversation before kickoff. A weekend with clients. Time spent together. That's the idea behind Game Day Suites Aggieland. Private, individually owned spaces designed for hosting, gathering, and doing business in the heart of Aggie. Just minutes from Kyle Field. Purpose-built for connection. Designed for Aggies.
Oh, they got the dog graveyard in there.
Game Day Suites. A place to gather. A place to connect. A place to belong.
Oh my gosh, they are.
That's
so,
too
they
sick.
can be so weird with some of this.
Did you buying that, Alex? That cool
I'm not buying.
experience?
I can't afford that. Did they say that they're for sale?
That's like
Are they
it's probably like
selling or do you rent
$100,000 a
them?
game just for the weekend. I mean,
Oh.
I don't know. I'm making that number up. I'm just saying if I was going to do that,
dude.
for,
I mean, if I'm being, the whole dog graveyard's really weird. But other than that, I mean, who would look at that and say that wouldn't be an awesome place to spend like a game weekend? You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, just because it's in College Station or something like that. I think that thing was cool. Like maybe I'm crazy. Little football field out front. You can go toss the ball around and get some cornhole bags.
Yeah, it looked like some apartments / condos that they basically just converted into this whole Aggie Land experience. What it looks like, Alex.
now there's something to do.
I got no shade to throw at that thing. I think that thing was cool.
Damn. So shade at Cody, but not that. It's an interesting day today, Alex. All right, guys. Let's get out of here. You guys know Alex and Cody. You guys can check out all of their videos here on orangebloods.com, Orange Bloods Live, where they're breaking down. You guys are basically getting ready for the season, right? You guys doing position battles? What are you guys doing to get ready for training camp next week, by the way?
I'll put out the rest of the depth charts this week, and then we'll have the war room and stuff. By then, the weekend's going to come around, and y'all have your content, and then next thing you know it, we're in practice week. What are we? 6 days away from players reporting, so it's the most exciting time of the year.
It is. I'm super pumped about that. So Alex has got his content. Cody has got his content as well. He's got some fantastic things that he's already posted. He posted his GM report this morning. Is Texas rebuilding or reloading in 2027? None of us want to have that conversation, but Cody is brave enough to tackle that. Alex he's like he said, he's finishing up his depth chart. Nobody does it better in the business, and Alex and all of his depth charts is the thing I look forward to most to seeing in the preseason. We'll have some prize picks. Prize picks is right around the corner, so we're gonna have our prize picks show and predictions and all these kind of things coming up. I learned Cody, you appreciate this, and Alex, I didn't realize that they had the, what is it called? What's the one when you have to get them all right? I think it's the flex one when you have to get them.
No, it's a power play.
Power play. Last season before the year, I followed your guys' advice. I basically took the under on every notable guy, but I didn't realize I did the power play, and I got 5 out of 6 correct. And I was like, damn it, man. I got the advice correct. I just got the play wrong. This year, though, I'll do it right. So you don't have to worry about that. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, if not, we'll pre-tape something. Go back and check it out. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. But we'll be back, Alex and Cody and